Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Micah Richards, Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker. It's the morning after the night before, so to speak. We're recording this episode in the early afternoon of Monday after a, rather stressful evening watching England scrape through against Slovakia thanks to some last-minute magic from Jude Bellingham. Saved by the Bellingham. We gave you our immediate reaction to that game on yesterday's show, but today we wanted to get you involved in the conversation and answer as many of your questions as we can. As always, there's a brilliant selection of questions you've sent in. Ready to get stuck in, lads?
Yes, let's do this.
Fire away.
I'm losing my voice a bit. It was
Singing, shouting.
No, I think it was the screaming when Bellingham scored, to be perfectly honest. Right, where should we start? Let's start with Ted Thompson. Interesting question, actually. Do you think elite coaching at club level has been detrimental to some England players at international level? Manchester City and Arsenal players look a little bit lost when not in a completely structured environment, almost like they've forgotten how to play off the cuff.
Ooh, what a question that is, by the way.
Do you think there's any validity to it?
I think maybe. I think when you talk about Pep and his system, everyone knows exactly what they need to do. I think the first point is it's very difficult to play the same way when you're so deep. So if the team was a lot higher, maybe you'd see the combinations and the rotations that we see week in, week out in the Premier League.
Gareth has his style of play. That's his. I mean, when you look at most of the stats over the tournaments, that his style of play is natural. He's a defensive coach, isn't he?
But that's difficult when you've got, I think, which is Ted's point, is that if you've got players playing in a particular way and they're coached to play a certain way, and then suddenly they're being asked to play in a different way. So is it the players that really need to adapt better, or should Gareth be thinking, well, this is how they all play for their clubs, this is how they play under Arteta or Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp? Can I embrace that style? I mean, it's obviously too late now. This is how he coaches. He's stuck with it, and the players have struggled to adapt.
One thing you would say, the best players can adapt, can't they? Although with me giving Foden sort of excuses because he's been playing on the left-hand side. And yes, that comes from the manager. So I think it's a bit of both. But in terms of big moments in big matches, Bellingham stepped up, so did Kane. You want to see a little bit more, but I probably do agree with what he's saying. I think it is difficult to be playing one way week in, week out, and then have to play a little bit more defensive. So I think it's a bit of both.
And I don't think that the balance of the side helps at the minute because we're without a left back. I think that has definitely hindered us.
Which takes me to a question actually from Dale Gorham. In a squad that has players already playing out of position, wouldn't playing Joe Gomez at left back when needed, who has experience playing there this season, be a better solution than others for England? It really baffles me. Yeah, he doesn't look like he's been considered. I mean, Trippier obviously went off injured. He looks like he was struggling a little bit. So, and it doesn't look like Shaw's going to make it now. I mean, he would have played at least 20 minutes if he'd have been fit, wouldn't he? Unless the fact that we're losing was the reason.
It's difficult to see him. I mean, when he hasn't played for so long to then come in such a game. Quarter-final when you've not been involved at all. Unless there's something dramatic gone on in terms of them playing.
I want to protect Trippier a little bit, though, in terms of what people are expecting from him. I've played in the fullback position, and all the things that you do on the ball when you're at right back is complete opposite on left back. Even just the way you open up, the way you pass, the way you think, the way you positions you want to get into when you defend. Everything's opposite side, and that can be very difficult.
Have you played left back?
I played left back, and an absolute stinker. Yeah, I did. I think it was against Middlesbrough away. And there were some injuries, and Mark Hughes said, "Can you play left back?" And I was like, "I can't because my eyesight's bad anyway." My eyesight's terrible.
I know.
So trying to receive it and then play with your left foot, but you can do the simple pass. If you look at the way Trippier's playing, he can play inside, but everything is taking 2 or 3 seconds longer than it should, and then all the space or where the space is. The picture completely changes because he's taking so long. And I don't think it's fair to him. A question was on Gomez. Gomez has played, 15 games for Liverpool at left back, and he's done, very well in that position. But I would just go with Kyle Walker. I would say Kyle Walker,
but you
play
just
left
said
back.
how difficult it is playing on the other side.
But the thing is, they're wanting Trippier to go forward and get involved in the play, I would just go and play Trent on right back and go into a free at the back and just say, just do the bare minimum, like he does. Kyle Walker in the game against Slovakia was in positions in the first 20 minutes that he doesn't play for Man City. He got caught out of position many times. All you want him to do is just, he's best when he's playing at the free at the back and he can read and go 1v1 in defending, not getting caught up the field.
I don't think there's been too much criticism of Trippier. I mean, I don't think.
No, I think Trippier's done okay. He's just out of position.
Certainly we haven't. I can't too much criticism. I think he's done an honest job in there. He's not a left back. I certainly appreciate and get and agree with you in terms of it is very different. But I don't think there's many people being harsh out on him.
Can I ask you a serious question? No, a serious question.
As he smiles, yes, go on.
No, I mean it.
Mine is how the fuck were you ever a footballer if you were that blind, by the way?
I mean. How good do you think you would have been, Mike?
I would have 100 caps for England.
No, that's what I mean, I know you're not even joking.
I'm not joking, no.
Like, that you couldn't see the ball until it's really
So it's about
close
5 yards. I couldn't see the ball. So I used to take my position off where the attacker was or where the line was. I used to just make sure I was in line, and then I could only look at the ball. You could see me squinting. We'll get footage of me squinting where the ball was. I tried contacts and it didn't work. And it felt weird in my eyes.
What about the forward? Could you see him? I would have loved to have played against you.
I mean, you must have been bloody good, mate.
Some defender. I keep telling you.
Next question. Oh, Alistair Campbell's in again.
Here we go.
From The Rest is Politics. They're having a busy time as well. Obviously, the election's coming up. No comment on that. Do you think England can do as well against Switzerland as Scotland did?
Remind us, what was the score again?
1-1.
Oh, yeah, McTominay put Scotland ahead, and then that wonder goal from Shaqiri. Well, they gave Switzerland more problems than any other team has.
Why are we so nervous about Switzerland?
Because they played brilliantly in the last 16 game against Italy.
Yeah, but we're talking about...
And they played well against Germany. They were 1-0 up against Germany until, I think, the 92nd minute. And Germany have impressed most people in this tournament.
Yeah, but they drew against Scotland.
I know. But are you insulting Scotland here, Micah?
No, I would never do that. I love the Scots. You know that. But, come on. We're talking about Switzerland like the Brazil.
Yeah, and they beat a terrible Italian team as well, didn't they? I mean, I know they dominated the game, but Italy were awful, weren't they?
Oh, here we go. We're starting to build up our hopes. I love it. We're getting a little bit confident. Tom Beals, I thought Bellingham's who else celebration was great, but when do you think footballers' ego, arrogance crosses a line? Should you always aim for maximum humbleness?
No.
No, when in that moment, I mean, can you imagine? He's just scored in the last 16 for his country when his country are in desperate trouble, and he's produced a moment of magic, moment of brilliance. So totally get it. He would have been so excited. He wouldn't have been thinking about anything else. Just go mad, and he's got his team back into the game.
That's why he plays for Real Madrid.
Yeah,
personality. What do you call him? Cojones? Is that
cojones?
Cojones. I can't do that.
You just did it.
Cojones. Yeah, is that good?
Better.
Come on.
You've got to be careful. Don't say cajones because that's drawers, like vegetable drawers.
Sure.
No, we once went in with when we moved to Spain the first time. We just learnt the language about a couple of months, and I went in with Michelle, and we were trying to get some stuff for our little villa we'd got. And we went in to say, "I want." It was mesita, I think it was a little table with. We asked for like bedroom, mesita con dos cojones, and we make cajones, and the woman just burst out laughing. We basically a bedside table with two bollocks.
If you're into that sort of thing,
I'm not sure. Can't remember. Luke Rose, where does that Bellingham goal rank among all-time England goals? Has to be the best we've ever scored in a Euros, surely.
We need
Platt's
you to.
Platt's goal was
goal,
kind of a similar. That was an unbelievably skillful goal.
Yeah.
Gazza's
goal against Scotland. Yeah.
Gazza's would be close, but it was special and doing overhead kick at that stage.
Just that moment, isn't it? It's just that it's like, oh my god,
proper English.
Are we talking about the moment though?
Throw.
Or are we talking about the actual goal, the moment or the goal? What we're talking
Well,
about. Because Luke Shaw's goal in the last Euros fight, when we scored early doors, that was a great moment. I thought we'd done it.
Well, you thought wrong. You thought wrong. Here's a really important question for Alan. It's from NF Leeds for Alan. Top 3 bold players, defence, midfield and up front.
Go on the Baldies.
Wow.
3 Baldies.
Yeah.
Up front, midfield and defence. Up front, Vialli.
Oh, Gianluca.
Midfield, Zidane.
Got to be.
Zizou.
Not Danny Murphy.
Danny Ballon d'Or. Although
Can you explain that, please? What does that mean?
A good player as Danny was. I cannot believe we've mentioned Zidane and Murphy in the same
He'll
sentence.
love it. He would have done it himself.
He would have.
And
yeah.
that's why he's called Danny Ballon d'Or, because he's quite good at just sneaking in a mention of himself compared with the greats, and quite rightly so. We love
Yapstam defender.
Yapstam. We've got a goalkeeper. You think of a goalkeeper?
Barthez?
Barthez.
yeah,
Not
good
bad at
one.
all.
Barthez,
Yeah, good one.
isn't
Well
it?
done. Well,
Yeah.
Foldy 11. Okay, we'll think of that. Richard F1. Be honest. Do you really like filming in the outside studio or much prefer the inside one? I've already seen Micah jumping and flicking at flying insects and Gary trying to stop his paperwork flying away in the wind. He's got a point, but it's nice outside.
It is nice.
What were those green things that were landing all over
You
us?
had that white shirt
That
on.
white shirt,
Honestly,
yeah.
I couldn't concentrate. There was one that was crawling up your back and it was going on your shoulder and it was going towards your neck. And you were talking and I felt like interrupting, going, Alan! Alan! There's a big...
Alan!
They weren't grasshoppers. I thought they were grasshoppers. I think I mentioned it in the coverage, but I think they were little green beetles, but they were all over you.
They were horrible, weren't they?
They took a liking to you, Alan. Right, let's
Studio? What do we prefer?
Go. Oh yeah, but I actually prefer it outside when the weather's nice. It's not been very nice generally.
It's actually changed because when we first got here, we had to sit up top with a jumper or a jacket on because it was a bit nippy, wasn't it? It was a bit cold.
Yeah.
And then it sort of changed. Then we can wear what we
In
want
the
in
afternoon games that we've done, or early evening, when we had two games back to back, didn't we? Where the sun was out, it was really hot days. And it was like a greenhouse in there. There's aircon at the back of the studio, but
it's hot and sweating.
Yeah,
sweating.
So-
Great. It's a great view, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
I like it
great,
outside, to be honest.
Yeah, I
like
that.
that. I like it.
BBC has smashed it.
Yeah, I think so. Andy McKenzie, does it start to get tiring at a long tournament, especially off the screen, after the initial few weeks of excitement?
Only
Depends.
if or when England get knocked out.
Then it gets long.
Then it's a long,
because
yeah.
there's big. And the thing is, as well, up to now, up to the end of the quarterfinal stage, you don't really get too many
much
gaps.
time,
There's a day off here and a couple of days off there.
Yeah.
And Berlin's a great city, so you can do things. But the last week, if England are not in it, but they're going to be in it.
They're going to be in it.
If they're not in it, then it gets a little. I mean, but there are worse places to be stuck in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the liver that you need to take care of a little bit.
Can we organise another dinner?
We have
Another
to.
sing song?
well,
What have we got
When
next?
We got a day off. When we got a
Definitely.
day off next week,
Yeah.
we have to have.
Okay.
We
Another,
have to
yeah, let's
go
have a
out and
sing song.
sing
eh?
along again.
You do like a whistle, don't you, man?
I was just thinking of us in the gym this morning, Gary, when there was a bit of music going on.
Yeah, you were. He's got his little earphones in and he's belting out these songs. I can't. It's so distracting. So distracting.
What were you doing in the gym? What were you doing? Uppers or lowers? Or?
Did the bike for half an hour, then the cross trainer for 10 minutes, and then a few stretches. And
The whistling things reminds me of that ridiculous sign. You know, in the studio's toilet,
Oh yeah,
over the two urinals. I mean, it's. I've never seen anything. They've got like a picture, basically, of how to pee and how not to pee. So it's basically saying you stand close to the thing, and then yes, and then you've got somebody peeing with a drawing of pee going from like 5 yards from the toilet, and they says no, and it also says like one's not whistling, it goes yes, and the other one's whistling, says no. So why can't you whistle? Whistle when you pee.
Mike has been using that toilet for 2.5 weeks, and he can't even read that.
I thought I'd just explain it.
And he's
for him.
standing 6 yards away from the toilet.
Some of us are well blessed. You're keeping that in, guys. Yeah, you can keep that in.
Oh, what a dick. Right, Roger Montgomery. It seems like the England fans this tournament have been well behaved. Has that been the case out in Germany, especially for Al, who has been doing co-coms at the stadiums?
Yes, absolutely. I think I don't think I've seen anything untoward or anything wrong or anything. I think the fans of the England fans, the Scotland fans were immaculate as well. So yeah,
do you know
great credit to all the England fans because sometimes that's not always been the case. But whenever I've been out, whenever we've been walking around in Berlin, they've been absolutely superb.
Yeah, and I heard someone was at the game yesterday and said how England fans were all really well behaved, getting on with the fans from the other teams. And I think that's been one of the beautiful things about this tournament. You've seen so many scenes with not just fans from one team or one country, but all together, harmonious. Oh, God, if only the world could be like that. But,
well, let's hope that continues for the rest of the tournament because they've been superb up to now.
Yeah. Matt Pinner. If England win the Euros this time, will the media say Southgate did a good job? Too right, they will.
He'll be knighted.
Yeah.
You know, I feel a little bit sorry for him though. On the sideline. I'm not talking about the tactical or how he's setting up his team. Just his face. He looks absolutely exhausted, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know, compared to previous competitions.
There's a difference, isn't there?
There definitely is. And I don't know if it's the pressure. I don't know if it's the fact that he knows he wants to probably leave after this competition. But it'd be nice to see him smiling again.
It would. We saw him smile when Bellingham hit that overhead kick and then Harry Kane scored. Which leads me on, actually, to a question from Richie S. Would Southgate get more credibility with the fans and the media if he came out after a game like last night and said, we've rode our luck and we need to rethink our approach and be better next match?
I think he has in a way. I think he said that maybe not in those words, but if you read into what he said when he said we need a reset, didn't he after the group stages?
But there wasn't a reset,
but he said we need a reset. So I think when you read into that, he's actually saying that they've played nowhere near as well as they can do, and they can only go one way, can't they? They can only get better.
I think it's hard, isn't it? Because expectation levels and whatever he says is going to be used negatively against him. If he comes out and says we were absolutely rubbish, then that's going to be a headline, isn't it? Yeah. So he's just got to be careful.
Tread carefully.
Yes, exactly that.
He's got to look after he's scored as well. But I think he has said very similar things, maybe in different words, but to what everyone's been saying. He's acknowledged they haven't played well. He's acknowledged they lack the balance on the left-hand side. So all the things that we've been saying, he's said it in a lot softer words, but he has said it.
Yeah. Another question in that general area. Lee Gibson, not been entertained with England, but it's a results game. We're one game away from the semi-finals. There have been teams in previous tournaments who bundle their way through and win. England will feel great after a late win. Surely late winners or results get a team feeling invincible.
Yeah, that's we keep mentioning that might just be the spark that gets them going. And yeah, absolutely. That's what we're hoping, because they can play better, and I'm pretty sure they will. They're going to have to. But yes is the answer. That is what everyone's hoping.
That's what we're hoping for. I think we're unanimous with that, Mike.
Yes, agreed. I've said, you just need something to change. Maybe that, the late goals just give them the confidence that they need. Gary
Hodgson, if you had to replace a member of the England starting 11 with one of the three of you for the quarter-final, who would you choose and why?
After seeing you two in the gym, definitely me.
Yeah.
You can't see, so you're struggling.
I think if any of us have to play, we're in trouble. I'm 60-odd, he's 50-odd, and you can't see. We're doomed. We're doomed. Paul T. Morris. Maybe, as strikers, you guys can explain the way Harry Kane plays. Gives the ball away cheaply, rarely gets on the end of power crosses from the wings, appears to amble around, then scores, making himself irreplaceable. Obviously hugely talented, but I can't work him out. I think you've just answered your own question, haven't you, Paul?
We always say that, don't you? As a forward, you don't have to play well. You can just score one goal, and then everything seems all right in the world. And that's the life of a centre forward. Harry hasn't played particularly well this tournament, but he has got 2 goals in 4 games. So
Exactly.
it's the life of a centre forward.
That's it. Yeah. Nobody. You don't want people remembering the rest of your game, do you? Al?
We have to protect him a little bit though, because you've got Foden playing on the left, who doesn't cut the ball back, who wants to be in the middle. You've got Saka, who's been on the right, who wants to come inside. And to be fair,
Well,
he's
he
done
goes
well.
both
He
ways,
goes
Saka.
both ways, but sometimes you see him. He wants to make the run. He doesn't know when the ball's. It's not like he's playing with wingers who know exactly where he needs to
Harry
be.
hasn't looked sharp.
No,
he hasn't
no,
looked,
not yet.
he hasn't-
Not
not
yet.
yet. Not
Let's
yet.
hope
And
he-
again, but
No,
the,
you
re-
can't.
the record. Just point to the record.
Yeah, exactly.
2 goals,
14
4 games.
goals in major tournaments
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
I mean, by far the best of
Correct.
any English player. Mike Slade. I've watched England play since before the 1966 World Cup. For the last maybe 40 years, they have played a frustrating and nerve-wracking game to watch. After the Slovakia match, I watched Spain and Georgia, a great game. What is it about England that we can't play like, say, Spain?
Get an attacking manager. Simple as that.
It is really, isn't it?
It is as simple as that. If you get an attacking manager, it changes everything. And that's no disrespect to the previous England managers. You got to play on the front foot. You got to believe that you can win games that way, the modern football way.
England have the players to do that.
Correct.
No question about that.
Yeah, they do. They definitely have players like that.
Okay. Here's a good one. Not. Jamie Martin. Should Jude Bellingham be dropped despite his game-saving wonder goal? P.S. I'm not saying he should be, but some do. So keen to know. Well,
No,
no.
There's no way he should be dropped. You can't. How can you drop him? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Of course, he shouldn't be dropped. He's got to be in the team.
Agreed.
I mean, that's just an emphatic no, isn't it? I think last question from Stephen Yeomans. How would you have felt as a player sitting on the bench, itching to come on, watching that performance last night with us 1-0 down for so long, and Southgate's hesitant to make a substitution? Well, I think you would be cross, especially if you were forward. I think Southgate said, didn't he, that Ivan Toney was fuming that he was bringing him on in the 94th minute, which was a very odd thing to do. But then obviously it went to extra time, and then he had the assist for Kane's goal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you'd be desperately frustrated, particularly if the team's not going well.
Absolutely. When it clearly isn't working and wasn't going anywhere near what we wanted, and you're in a desperate situation. Particularly as a forward, you're pretty sat there thinking, is there any danger? What's the point?
Have you been in that situation
Point
where?
of me being here?
Have you been in that situation?
Yeah, 1992 when he should have took that old man off there.
He did.
Yeah, but he didn't put the right person
He
on.
put Alan Smith on,
Exactly.
who's considerably better than you at that point.
So what was going through your mind at that
Get
time?
that old fucker off. He's useless. That's what I was thinking. Get the young breed on. His time's gone.
He's got a point. But yeah, it's true. It's true. And I would have been exactly the same if it had been the other way around. But obviously, that was never going to happen. He's not going to be picked ahead of me. I had to retire to get him a game. You should be thanking me for that, Alan. The old man. Great stuff. Thanks once again for all your questions. Some absolute crackers. And, well, for England, it's on to the quarterfinals.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Come on, England!
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.